What are your thoughts on there potentially being evidence for Ethiopian, Congolese, and Sahelian Christian influence on the first African Baptist church in Savannah, Georgia, and Gullah Geechee Christianity? So real quick, the First African Baptist Church is the oldest African American church in the country. And I'm going to, real quick, I'm going to make this bigger right quick. Do this. So to that end, to what you were talking about earlier in terms of that Christian kingdom that the people of Mali were mentioning, that was the Christian kingdom of Takrur, which is in Senegal, northern Senegal, southern Mauritania, etc. And again, I was talking about the Ghana Empire, etc., whatnot. We know that there was a lot of people that came within the first wave of slavery into specifically North America and in the Low Country, whatnot, that came from these areas and whatnot, right? And what's interesting is at this First African Baptist Church, it was originally called the Ethiopian Baptist Church of Jesus Christ back in the 1850s and whatnot, right? I had a very good friend of mine who went down there a couple of times and took some tours and whatnot. And he told me that they gave this narrative that they originally had Ethiopian crosses in their window panes and whatnot, but they eventually later on turned into more westernized crosses and whatnot, right? This is a place to where they have Congolese cosmograms drilled into the floors that they say that they used to help slaves breathe when they were using them when they were trying to help them run away from in the Underground Railroad and whatnot, right? Not only do they have Congolese cosmograms, they also have and again, touching on the Ethiopic side, because I think what a lot of people don't recognize is that there were 542,000 slaves taken from East Africa in the slave trade. There are slaves taken from West Africa, et cetera, whatnot. But this church potentially has fingerprints from Christianity from East Africa, West Africa, like Southwest Africa, like Congo, and also the Sahel. So, for instance, in a concept of something that potentially could connect to East Africa, they made like the people of the church made a wooden replica of what could be considered like the Ark of the Covenant, et cetera, made out of acacia wood. Dr. Ephraim Isaac in a 2016 documentary, and I'm definitely going to have you take a look at this real soon, real quick before you leave. He potentially identified some Ge'ez characters, like Ge'ez Ha and Sa, on multiple pews. There is history in Savannah, Georgia, of slaves in the 1850s writing gospels in the Arabic script, right? Like signifying that they might have come from the Sahel, etc., whatnot. But they're writing the Gospel of John. The first time the Gullah language is written down, it's used to write the Gospel of John, but using the Arabic script to write it, from a Mandingo slave named London in Savannah, Georgia. We can see in Gullah Christianity that they have certain things that are very unique to their Christianity, like just like you were talking about with the Ethiopian tradition, like river baptisms, etc., whatnot, right? And even specific songs that they sing during those baptisms, like that they're going down to the River Jordan. But with that said, what are your thoughts on those potential connections to and the importance of there potentially being a place that could touch on all aspects of the slave trade, but also the Christianity coming from East Africa, Southwest Africa, and the Sahel, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible, and I think it'll be really important for some scholarship to be done, like in terms of philology and archaeology on First African Church, because there's a lot of interesting possibilities about the inscriptions and that have emerged there, and different people have had different ideas about what language what time period that could have come from. And so I think there really needs to be more work done from the perspective of archaeology and philology on that, and because we know absolutely that Christians and Muslims and Jews from different parts of the continent were brought over, and that places like Savannah and South Carolina, that was really the kind of the hotbed of various African cultures, many of whom had contact with Ethiopian speaking and Arabic speaking people, and so I think it's definitely a possibility that it could represent a connection. And I think there needs to be a lot more scholarly work done and some publications put out on this on this question.
So you're the only person other than Ephraim Isaac that I know of that I could reach out to that could potentially read Ge'ez. And I believe you said you've recently learned classical Arabic as well.
That's right.
So real quick, I'm going to put up a picture on the screen from some pews and whatnot, and I just want to get your quick take. Do you think there's any? I believe the portions that are in the red are the portions that Dr. Ephraim Isaac said. Let me take this question off. That he said he believed could be a Ge'ez Ha and Sa. Do you see any potential connection with that or no?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. And just as a heads up, I do got to get to my next meeting. We're over time, but
Yes,
it's definitely possible because yeah, the head in is like a kind of in a U shape, and so that could be what that is, or it could be something else entirely. It could be, like you had another slide up that is, thinking that it could be some Arabic letters, and also there's another question of when did these inscriptions come from, and what, and also what does the textual evidence show us about in the 18th century? What were people writing from this church about? So it's very possible that it could be.